Alright, so today we're going to make a little giraffe. Perfect to go with all the little safari animals, with your elephant and everything. Obviously you need to give your fondant a decent knead before you roll into the body shape. So this bit here, I'm just making sure I roll it in my hands a lot, just to get rid of any creases that you might have before I start shaping it. And because it's a giraffe, you're obviously going to need quite a tall body shape, unless you want, a short dumpy one, but try to go for a slightly taller shape than, the elephant or other animals that you might create. As always, I'm putting a stick through mine, a bamboo stick down through the center, just to give it a little bit of stability and to keep the head on. For the head, you're just, again, rolling it between your hands to get rid of any creases before you shape it. I'm going to roll it into a ball. Then using my pinky finger, little finger, I'm just indenting across the front, which gives you a really nice little shape, especially for a giraffe head. Bring that closer because it looks like one long piece when it's when it's far away. Promise there are two pieces on there. All right, so you need two smaller pieces for your front legs and two larger pieces for your back legs. I'm going to do short legs for these just because I think it looks cute. I know that's probably not accurate for a giraffe because they actually have really long legs, but I'm going to roll them out into the usual shape, kind of like a cone shape. And we're actually going to be adding feet on these of a different color. So make them slightly shorter than what you want because you're going to be adding a little bit extra on the bottoms. All right, back legs. As I said, you could go longer if you want to be a little bit more accurate. I'm just going for the cute factor here. And then the two smaller pieces, again, I'm doing shorter legs this time. Rolling it out and then just pinching one end just to taper the edge or whatever the word is. Make it thinner on one end than the other. Now I'm going to use a darker brown here, and I'm just going to roll out small pieces of brown fondant, roll them into a little ball and then squash them and attach them onto the end. You don't need to be too accurate on that for size, but you can squash them obviously to make them larger. Just adding the feet on the other legs. Okay, so ears. I'm going for kind of like a droopy look on the ears because I think, again, that looks really sweet on giraffes. I don't know why, but you can do your sticky up ears as normal. What I'm going to do is pinch either side and then squash it so you get a flat diamond. Then get any kind of pointy tool or fondant tool or whatever to basically make a crease. Sorry, it's out of shot there. I'm going to do another one so I'll show you. and then add onto your cake. And because they're drooping, you can attach them really easily actually just by squashing them on. So you roll out your piece of fondant, pinch the two ends to make a diamond, squash it down, flat, and then get your fondant tool to make a crease down through the center. Super, super easy. When you attach it on, you just squash down one end so you get kind of like droopy ears. So for the two little things that sit on top of the giraffe's head, which I have no idea what they're called, I use a little bit of florist wire just because it's nice and thin, but it really helps to stick them into the head. You can just stick them on, but they are more likely to fall off. So I tend to use just a little bit of wire on the center. No one's going to be eating these, so it's absolutely fine to stick some wire in there. So I just make them the end a little bit wet with water, and then I stick them inside a little ball of fondant for the very top piece. Do that for both. And then I roll out a longer piece, which I cut down to size and then thread up through and then just push them into the main part of the head. Next up, we're just going to add that little front piece to the face. Apply a little bit of water, just mixing up a pale or a lighter brown for the front of the face. I'm going to roll it into an oval shape, squash it down, and apply it to the front of the face. Go a little bit smaller than you want the finished look to be, because once you've attached it to the front, you're going to be pushing it down so that it's not just a lump on the front of the face. You need to kind of smooth down the edges, squash down the edges so that they're nice and thin. Adding in the nostrils into his little nose. I like them to be quite deep because it's a darker colour. Sometimes they're hard to see, so do sort of get a decent dent in there for the nostrils. And then we need to add the eyes. So just about where you ran your finger along to make that dent is where you would put your eyes. A little bit of water before you add in your black fondant. Once you've rolled out your little ball, double check for size. This one is too big. I really wanted little eyes instead of the larger one, so I'm literally going to halve that and make the two eyes from that one piece. Perfect. Still a little bit too big. Perfect. Okay, so I'm just applying water across the body, the legs, in preparation for adding the spots. I have used, for the spots, I actually used quite a dry piece of fondant. Not dry that it's crispy, but just can see that some of the fondant is starting to crack. I added a bit too much water there on his face, just cleaning that up with some kitchen roll. You can see, when you look closely at this fondant, you can see that it's kind of a little bit textured, shall we say, which is actually perfect for spots, because then when you put them onto the body, they have kind of a, yeah, almost like a feathered look, which is perfect for a giraffe because, of course, their spots are not completely perfect. So all I'm doing is I'm ripping off pieces of fondant, squashing them down and attaching them to the body. I've started on the head here with just smaller pieces, and then as I work around the body, I'm going to go with larger pieces. Squashing them on. If they're too round, I'm just using my tool there just to kind of give it a little bit more shape, because none of the giraffe spots are really very round. Okay, there must have been no water on that bit there, so it's not sticking. Done it. All right, so I'm going to speed this bit up because it's basically the same the whole way round. So here we are, our cute little giraffe, perfect to go with our elephant and of course our zebra, which is in the other tutorials. Hope you've enjoyed this and I hope it's been helpful. Thank you again. Bye.